I was just reminded by my dad a few minutes ago that when I was younger, during a Mother's Day performance, much like this when I was in preschool, that I stood there the entire time and pulled my dress over my head. I am praying I don't get that nervous today. I am honored to have my mom here with us today, and of course my dad. Some of my kids are in here. They're going to kind of be coming in and out, and later on Bill's family is going to be joining us. I do want to thank Brother Bill for asking me to do this, and I am grateful that I get to come and just really teach from my heart today. And you know, he was nice to me, but I've got to get him back for all the times that he has gotten me. I need to clarify that when I am teaching today, when I refer to Bill, it's to my Bill, to Bill Mack. Because the other day when I was speaking, a lady got a little confused. They introduced me, and of course they said, this is Anita, and she is married to the associate pastor at Ridgedale Baptist Church. Evidently, the woman only heard Bill and pastor, and she'd been to Ridgedale Baptist before. She did not hear a word of the message, and she came up to me afterwards and she said, "Oh, I am so thankful. I finally figured it out." And I quote, I am so glad you're not married to that old guy over there." True story. Yes, finally, I got you. Ask Janine Powell, I'm not lying. As I began praying about God, what God would have me speak on, the Proverbs 31 woman just kept coming to my mind. I kept thinking, God, really anything but that one. I mean, that woman has it all. There's just a whole lot to live up to. I remember reading it as a young girl, and I kept thinking, she just sews a lot. And sewing is not in my repertoire. You just got to understand that is not what I do. The best present that I ever gave Bill was a buttoneer. This is a buttoneer. You take this and you put the button on. There is no sewing involved. There is no needle. There is no thread. The best part about this thing is that only Bill knows how to use it. It became a marriage-saving device, let me just say. Well, there was a time that my mom and I thought we would attempt sewing, and this was back in my middle school years. So we thought, well, we'll make a dress, a sundress. So I was an aspiring Lily Pulitzer, and we set out to find a pattern and some material. Now, before you see this picture, you need to understand that preppy was really in, and pink and green was the thing. Okay, you can show this picture now. Oh, there it is. That's me and my mom and my grandmother. Okay. Those are pink pigs on the dress. It was before swine flu had made a comeback is all I can think. I'm not sure. All that said, though, sewing was just not my thing. And anytime I looked at this passage, I just wanted to tuck my tail and run. But today we're bravely going to examine who this woman is. My Bill asked me, he said, well, what the men going to get out of this? I said, a whole lot of estrogen. You just hang on. But seriously, as a church, we are the bride of Christ. We are his bridegroom. We should be aspiring to be this virtuous spouse as the bridegroom of Christ. He is coming back for us. Hello. So as we go through this, try to take some of those concepts in as well. Just because of time right now, I hope y'all read that. And that way I won't have to read it to you, and we'll come back. I'll touch on some of the points that we're going to look at. I want to make a couple of things clear, though. Based on several commentaries that I read, this is more of a character sketch of an ideal woman, not a real woman. All these things that she accomplished were done over time as she was developing in her relationship with God and becoming who he purposed to be. So it was not done in a day. That does not let us off the hook, ladies. But I hope it does give us some encouragement and a little bit of relief in that respect. the other part of that, I just want to say to the men, you can no longer throw up the Proverbs 31 woman to your wife in that, well, that little P31 woman got it all done and then some in a day. She didn't, all right? Let's just get that clear. She didn't. But in this passage, there are 3 different areas of traits that we're going to look at. And we're going to see how a noble woman is noble in her character, she is noble in her work, and she is noble in her relationships. First, we're going to look at her character. There are tons of them as you looked at that. But today I want you to look at Proverbs 31:10. I'm going to read that for us. It says, "A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies." The phrase there, noble character, and I'm sure many of your versions say virtuous woman. That is the Hebrew word that was used for Gideon in Judges 6:12, when God sends an angel to the Lord and tells him, "God is with you, mighty man of valor." The Hebrew word there is kahel, and overwhelmingly it is translated valor, courage. It is a military term meaning to be brave. Over and over, there's only 3 times that it's actually translated to noble or virtuous, and it is not in this passage. When you look at that, women, that means brave. That means to be brave. So the first key to becoming a noble woman is to be brave. That sure gives a whole new meaning to this woman and her sewing. The June Cleaver stereotype does not fit here. She was a brave woman. President John Adams was quoted as saying, the manners of women are the most infallible barometer to ascertain the degree of morality and virtue of a nation." There's a quote that also says, "As the woman goes, so goes the world." Ooh. Christian women, I think it's time that we understand that this noble, virtuous woman is one who is brave. I'm not talking about an empowerment here. I'm talking about a bravery in her faith of God and going out and standing up for the truth of God in our communities, in our homes, in our schools, in whatever social areas that we may be in. I think we can become silent because we have come into some tolerance. I think we get scared of saying, "That's wrong." No. Don't think that's what we need to do. Understand me. By all means, there's a way to do that without being offensive, and there's a way to do that in being respectful. Moms especially, we have such a responsibility for our kids. They are subject to so much influence that we can't necessarily filter. We don't need to be compromising our convictions or our beliefs based on maybe even what our kids want, or even based on what all the other parents are doing. I made that mistake recently. I'll tell you a good one in a minute, but this wasn't a very good one. It was a busy day, and Mary Allison had been invited to go to a movie. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, what is the movie? And she told me, and it was one of those times where you just go, ooh, just no, not sure about that one. It was legal for her to go. No, don't go. Well, she said her, no. It was a PG-13. My daughter is 13. But honestly, it probably was not a movie she needed to go to. But because other Christian moms were sending their daughters, and of course, I thought, well, yeah, let Mary A go. Should not have done it. I knew in my heart, knew in my spirit. But the easy thing was to say, yeah, go. So she came home and I had to go. Daggone, I messed that one up. I don't think that was the one you were supposed to go to. And she goes, yeah. I was like, oh, great. Here we go. But anyway, we've got to be brave in what we're allowing in our homes and what we're teaching our children. Single women, be brave in how you set your standards in dating. Be brave and courageous in living a single Christian life. Those in retirement, resist the urge of complacency. Yes, pass the torch on, but don't extinguish yours while you're doing it. Be brave. Keep on standing. Teenagers, be brave in your stand for Christ. Know now what you believe in. Why? Know God's truth. You cannot base it on what your friends are doing. You cannot base it on what the media is telling you. You can't even figure out what you're doing based on Abercrombie. I promise you, know the Word of God and be brave in standing up for that. I know it may not be politically correct or cool, but it's the God thing.